Probably a toddler when I was having to interpret and mediate and be an advocate for my parents. I went off to college. I was like, I want to escape the deaf world, get me away from these deaf people. I'm going to go be in the hearing world in Seattle. And like, I seriously felt that way. And I was like, I would never be an interpreter. I literally would say that. And now decades later, I actually want to go back to those people. And not out of obligation, but out of like gratitude for them.
Welcome to the Best for Your Nest podcast put on by Owl Roofing. I'm Bea and Anya, and this is Anya Berglund, and we are sitting down weekly with difference makers in the local community and talking about what makes them special and why they love the Shoreview area so much.
And today we have Hilary Jose, and she kindly came to chat with us, and I have an introduction that I actually typed up, and I'm just gonna read it because I don't want to miss anything. Hilary is a Minnesota native who grew up in Arden Hills, graduated from Mounds View High School, and later headed west to Seattle Pacific University. After earning her degree in elementary education, life was moving very quickly. She married her high school sweetheart, Michael. They started a family very young, which I'm excited to hear about. And she supported him through medical school, which is quite an endeavor. Hilary is now a mom of 3. She's married to a real psychiatrist. Back in graduate school herself, completing her master's that she'll share more with us. And she's very deeply connected to deaf community here in the Twin Cities, and she was raised by deaf parents, which she will touch on. She's a runner. She's the life of the party. She is a meal prep pro. She loves concerts, and she's someone who just genuinely shows up for people. We're so excited to talk about family, marriage, parenting, being married to somebody with a very strong career, and just how do you juggle life. Thank you for being with us here.
Thank you.
So if we were to ask you to describe yourself at this particular point in your life, what would you say?
First and foremost, I am a mother and wife, and that's my biggest role. I would say I am in a new journey where I'm going back to school, like you said, and I'm having to juggle a busy schedule and also a taxi driver. I feel like I'm constantly in the car. All 3 of my kids are in competitive sports, and so just managing all of that.
That's awesome.
How old are your kids?
13, 10, and 8.
Okay.
Wow.
2 girls
Busy.
and a boy. Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. So, like I've read in my intro, I've learned recently that both your parents couldn't hear growing up. Correct. And that was your childhood. And I'm fascinated by being an interpreter myself, thinking that that's quite a barrier. How was it growing up?
Yeah, so as you said, both parents are deaf. My mom was born deaf from birth, and she was the first and only deaf person on her entire side. For her, it was a birth defect. My dad was born hard of hearing, and he was one of 5 out of his 12 brothers and sisters that had hearing loss. And on his side, it's genetic. I've got tons of deaf cousins on that side. The 2 of them met at St. Johnny's, St. Benny's party, and
How cute.
they were like the only 2 deaf people at the party, and they quickly fell in love because they were like, we don't have to be alone at this hearing college. And I would say that when they had me, I was the first daughter, granddaughter, niece, and coda, child of deaf adults on my side of the family. And so I had a lot of responsibility. I feel like before I even realized, I was probably a toddler when I was having to interpret and mediate and be an advocate for my parents. And there was times where I felt like I was parenting them, and I had a lot of responsibility, and I grew up pretty quickly, but I also didn't know any different. So, I would say one thing that really stood out from my childhood was I got to see what it's like to be on the fringes of things, and when you're left out or excluded, or you have injustice or things aren't fair. And I would say that really taught me to be aware of those needs. And I feel like still today I am very attuned. I almost like listen with my eyes and pay attention to people, and I want to be a helper and be an includer. So
That's amazing.
Yeah.
You married your high school sweetheart, which is so fun to say, but how was it actually getting married so young and
Yeah.
starting a family
Yeah.
and medical school? I just can't even imagine.
Yeah. So, I mean, we started dating when I was 15 before I could even drive. I remember I got my driver's license and I was celebrating with him at that time. So we've been together, I think, like 23 years.
Amazing.
Yeah, we've gone through different seasons, of course. And like we've gone through schooling and moves and like just real life stress, mental health stuff, parenting.
Amazing.
And I feel like we've just relied on each other. And when things got stressful or things got hard, the other person would pick up the slack, and we just kind of recalibrated and kept going as we've gotten older in all the different seasons. Yeah.
So it hasn't been really like I had a mentor friend who once told me, marrying a doctor, I had to grow up very fast. And I had to move by myself with kids because he had to work 110-hour weeks.
Yeah.
So that might have not been maybe your
Well, no, it
experience,
was-
or was it just,
was just
like
like-
bad like that?
Yeah, so I would say the first 18 months of having our first daughter, Mila, it was very much that way. He was on his clinical rotations, working all the different, specialties, and he was studying all the time. We actually scheduled her induction the same week as he took a huge, like, step 1 board exam. Oh my gosh. And we scheduled it because we were like, it was within 4 days of him taking the test. Because if I had it, there's potential it would happen while he was taking his test. We wouldn't be able to leave or whatever. So that was like the little bit of control I would say we had during that season. We were dirt poor. We were on Medicaid. I did not go back to work because I couldn't even afford daycare. And I just spent every hour with Mila. We had no family or friends, and I was very much alone for those 18 months, and he was busy, and we just kept our eyes on the prize. We're like, eventually we'll get out of the season, and things will improve, and they did when we came back here. It got better.
So yeah, definitely taught you. Sounds like resilience and
Yeah.
just owning your responsibilities sometimes.
I would say just focusing on the bigger picture always helps. Yeah.
You just came from school.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, I had a test this morning.
Are you almost done?
Almost. I have another year, one more year, and then I'll be done.
So I'm just fascinated that you went back to school, kind
Yeah.
of. You
Yeah.
went, already having kids. So now you're getting your master's. What prompted you? What gave you enough courage? What was the reasoning behind it?
Yeah. So I was a stay-at-home mom for 11 years, and I, at the time when they were little, didn't think I was going to go back to work. I'm like, I love this. This is great. It was because the kids kept me busy, and I said, maybe like when they went off to school and I actually was home alone during the day, I'm like, I actually need to be stimulated, and I need to do something with myself and be outside of the house. And I wanted to do something that would help others and be flexible. And so that's when I pieced together becoming a sign language interpreter. And it's funny because when I went off to college, I was like, I want to escape the deaf world, get me away from these deaf people. I'm going to go be in the hearing world in Seattle. And like, I seriously felt that way. And I was like, I would never be an interpreter. I literally would say that. And now decades later, I actually want to go back to those people. And not out of obligation, but out of like, gratitude for them.
Amazing.
And who they shaped me and who they shaped me to be. And I just wanted to be a helper because they actually really needed interpreters for the deaf people. So
That's amazing. So how far away are you from actually taking a job?
well, next June I would be like graduated and applying, but I still have to take these tests and stuff. So hopefully 2027.
And is
Yeah,
it like
amazing.
then you become an interpreter? Like, is it like you get assigned a specific person, or like how does that like what does
There's
a
so
job
many
like that look?
options. Yeah. So that's the thing I love is it's so
Yeah.
flexible, and you can either freelance or you can work for a company or you can just be on call, almost like substitute teachers, or you could work for VRS, which is what I hope to do. It's
Okay.
video, and it's
cool.
you can do it all virtually, whether it's from home or if I'm traveling. And so that I could pick up my hours, and you can choose how much you want to work.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So
When
That
I
would be
picture
really
that, I
interesting.
just
Yeah.
remember growing up and there was one news channel they're in the right bottom corner.
Oh, yeah.
There would be an interpreter, and I would always feel like, how does she know what to wave? When I was little,
Yes,
that's just
yes,
it. And I
yeah.
didn't realize also that each language
Is
has
different.
its own
Oh yeah.
sign
Sign
language,
language.
which
Uh-huh.
obviously, because sometimes you have to
Yeah.
go letter by letter.
Yes, but
So that you
Ukrainian,
can-
every different, even Canadians, they're the most like us, but like Mexican sign language is all different.
So would like
They have
UK be
different-
this different than
Different.
America?
They're different. Like I went to the Spice Girls concert in 4th grade, and I'm like, she's not doing it right. And then I realized she was doing British Sign Language and not American.
That is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Okay, learn something. This is fascinating. Just for interpreter to an interpreter.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Do your
That is-
kids know sign language?
A little bit.
Okay.
I'm really bad. I feel like I'm still so focused on them, like
Yeah.
in English and schooling. I'm like,
For
I need
sure.
to do that, but
Yeah.
I need to do better. I hope in high school that'll be the
That's cool.
language they take.
Yeah.
So you've been married for a little bit,
Yes.
and I'm sure relationship and support now looks different compared to when you just first had Mila.
Yes.
What would be an advice to somebody, maybe like us, with kids like 3 and 5 months?
Under?
Oh man. I remember those days. I would say my piece of advice would be to have fun. And like they always say, if your cup's full, you can pour into others. And I know it sounds cheesy, but I feel like moms and me especially, when they were little, I was so focused on them and their schedules and like their needs. I didn't take enough time for myself. And I feel like in the long run, if you do, you're going to be more patient and present. And it's just so important to, you know, find little pieces of joy as a mom.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome.
And like, what do you think has been the biggest, like you said, you're like, I'm the taxi, I'm like doing everything now that they're in competitive sports. What do you think has been the biggest shift of like newborn where they are so like dependent on you to like now where they're not as physically dependent on you, but like maybe emotionally?
Yeah, my biggest thing right now is my 13-year-old like doesn't want to talk to me, and I'm like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
it goes by so fast. So enjoy your time when they like want to spend time with you, and like just soak it up. It is different once they hit the teenage years. They just want to be with their friends, and they're like always gone, and you don't even like know what's happening. You have to like pry, and but no, I would say this stage is more about their activities and their friends, and it's very different. Than they're not as needy. So,
Yeah, you're almost like flipping that like need of like you want to connect with them and making sure that you get that out of them. What's your advice for people trying to navigate that? Like what have you found works to get a little bit more time or presence from them?
I would say we do like family meals, not every night. We do probably honestly once a week is when we actually do it. And then I would say taking time for getaways, like vacations. That's really been key because I feel like when we're at home, we're all going different directions, but just spending that time together. It doesn't have to be a flight. It can be anything nearby, downtown. Just spending that quality time together has been good.
What's your favorite vacation spot for kids?
Ooh, for kids, it has to be a beach. I'm like, I just love going to the beach, and Caden loves to throw the football, my youngest boy. And it's just so easy. They just enjoy the sand and the water.
Yeah. Then you don't have to plan activities because you can literally just like.
Yeah. At least
That's
for us,
awesome.
we enjoy that. Yeah.
So I always think you went to school in Seattle, and Seattle is just fabulous.
Yes.
And it doesn't have these rough winters, but somehow you're back.
I know.
I'm wondering, was there something in particular that you love about this community? Or is this that thing that you guys from Minnesota do, where you just end up here with
I
your
would
4
say
seasons?
yes. I mean, we were gone for 8 years, so we experienced what it's like to not have a close community. I mean, in Seattle, we had groups of friends, but we knew we weren't going to stay. And same when we were in medical school, everyone dispersed, and so they're all over the country now, and we don't really connect with them. But yeah, I would say Minnesotans just have that like special community, and it's true. And being back by both of our parents has been so great for our children, and we just love the area.
That's awesome.
How long have you guys been back in Minnesota?
Since 2014. Yep, he
Okay.
matched for
Yeah.
residency here at the University of Minnesota. So it was a given that we were here, and then we wanted to stay, of course.
And you live in North Oaks. What do you think? I live in North Oaks too.
Yeah.
What do you think makes North Oaks so unique? Because it is like a very interesting place. If you're not from this area, I stumbled upon it. So like, what do you
Okay.
think as a North Oaks native? You born and raised
Right.
around the area? What do you think makes it unique?
I've got all my relatives are in Edina. They're all in Edina. And it's just
So,
like a
yeah.
different,
Yeah.
different
Different
pace.
vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like the people of North Oaks are, just a little bit more calm and just a little bit, quieter and like simpler things. And I've really enjoyed it. Yeah.
And like the nature, I feel like there's just like a little bit more like
for sure.
slow pace, like you said, and like people appreciate more of like the privacy and being outside and
Yes.
enjoying nature as opposed to like maybe we're not as like heavily like on restaurants and like activities
Yep.
out here, but I think that there's just so much more like community and
Yeah.
nature and family oriented stuff out here.
Yep.
You travel a lot. What would you say is like if you could just buy a ticket quick? Where would you go again?
I would say Nashville, and it's because you don't have to worry about the weather.
Yeah.
We have gone when it was super hot in July, and then we went in November, and it was snowing, and everyone was outside taking pictures with these like tiny little flurries, and it was fine because we were just in and out of different buildings, and I feel like it's so much entertainment morning to night, and even if you don't like country, there's places like we went to the Barstool, and they don't play any country. And I just find it to be fun.
Nashville is super fun.
Yeah.
That's a great answer.
I've never been to Nashville,
Oh, you should.
so maybe that's a next.
And
step.
the food is good.
Yeah, that's
Like,
what I've heard.
yeah.
And people are like, it's, I feel like it gets the rap of like, there's always like bachelorette parties and like certain things, but people say that there's like actually way more to do and there's like cool like hiking trails outside
Yes,
of it.
it's
and,
pretty.
Yeah, and it's
And
easy to get to for
It's clean.
Minnesotans.
I even compared to Minneapolis. I'm like,
Okay.
They wipe down those sidewalks. I'm like, it's
Really?
so clean and pretty.
That's amazing.
Yes, yeah. Every morning they're
But
out
it's
there
just like
cleaning.
a party 24/7.
in
Noah
like,
and I
yes,
went and it
in
feels
that
like
vicinity.
music is playing.
But
It's loud.
Franklin is like 20 minutes away. We went there as well.
Okay.
It's a cute little area that feels like a little bit hallmarky. It's different. So you can do different things in Nashville.
Yeah.
My daughter wanted to go horseback riding, so we did that.
Oh, fun.
So, there's a mix.
Down south in a
Yeah.
hat.
And it's a quick flight.
Yeah, I
It's
was
like-
just going to say,
yeah.
and I think are they on the same time zone as us? I think
Yes,
so.
they are.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm thinking, what would be something you would tell your husband? What do you wish he knew? Or,
Oh.
yeah, that's my question.
I laugh because when I was like thinking about this, I'm like, he's gonna laugh, but it's just thank you. I'm like, I don't know. I'm
love
not a big like word of affirmation person, and so just letting him know how grateful I am and how he's like the star of our family.
I love that. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, that's so sweet. And you said, does he work a lot now still, or does he have better
He has
hours and
better
balance?
clinical hours as a
Okay.
psychiatrist. Yeah.
Than when you were so how do you think
Yes.
that, because I think people say with spouses with really demanding jobs there's a shift that happens after maybe that no longer becomes their identity of like, oh, I'm working 80 hours a week. I've heard that people sometimes have a challenge trying to figure out where does he provide that value, or what does he do with all of that maybe like extra time.
Extra
Not that there
time.
feels like there's ever extra
No, I
time, but
hear
like once that dynamic shifts from him being so busy to being home a little bit more.
Right.
How have you guys navigated that?
He very much chose psychiatry because of the lifestyle. He was
Okay.
like, I want to work clinic hours and
Yeah.
I want to be home. And
Yeah.
he's a homebody. And so he loves spending time with our kids. He is very much like 50-50 on the home front. And,
Okay,
and
cool.
much more than we
So
were
cool.
at the beginning.
Yeah.
And even when I was, staying home and he was working and they were little, he very much is making meals and putting away laundry and just playing with the kids. Every night he plays basketball with Gaden. And
Yeah.
he's very involved at home.
And what do you guys think is the best way to basically delegate tasks between the two of you? Like, what are you responsible for? Is it like you're always responsible for the same tasks, or like does it change based on?
It flexes, and I feel like it's not even something we argue about, luckily. I feel like we're like pretty side by side on things. Every morning we decide who's going to drive to which sport, and it's not
Okay.
always the same, and it
Yeah.
varies depending on if we're hanging out with our friends or doing different things. And I have some night Zoom classes and stuff like that. So we just communicate, and we have a skylight, which I love.
Oh, yeah.
He even loves it. He's like, I love this thing. And every Sunday we do like a family meeting.
Yep.
And it's short, and we just more cover the activities and then maybe little highlights and different things. But that's been helpful, especially for the kids, because then they know I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, I have this on this day.
I was just going to ask, so they participate in that too?
They do.
So they kind of know what's
Yep.
coming.
And we try to do like compliments or just things that like if we had a little problem with something, we try to talk through it. And yeah.
That's cool.
That's so cool.
Yeah, because I think like knowing what to expect, and I think not having each person so in their lane where it's like, well, I don't even know how to do this because she's always the one that does
Oh,
it.
no.
Or like, I don't even know how to pack the bag because he's always taking them to.
Right. The only thing I don't do is like yard work. I'm like, that's like the one thing. I'm like, you
That's
can take
okay.
care of that.
Yeah,
but I'm
that's
like,
on you.
besides that, we're very much
That's
like
cool.
we cover
That's
both.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's just like a good way to have your kids see that too. Of like,
Yes.
hey, we're all responsible for keeping this house
Yes,
running.
100%. I feel like even though he's working and I'm just like a student, it's like we're very equal. Oh my gosh, my phone! I put it totally Sorry,
We might need to keep this.
my music.
Oh,
It's my daughter. I'm sorry.
no, you're totally fine.
You can keep going. That music, Mila put that on my phone like
Of
years
love it.
ago.
That's a little snippet into raising a 13-year-old.
She's calling me again.
Do you want to answer?
Mila. Okay. No, I was just gonna say we're in the middle.
Here.
Can you hear me?
We can, yeah.
We're in the middle of a podcast. I don't know how she's calling me when I have it on Do Not Disturb.
Probably on your watch. We can cut this out.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
that's good that she actually, children need to be able to reach
Yeah.
you.
You do.
Okay. In middle of film.
She's probably like, what do you mean? In the
I'm being a
middle of-"
movie star here, my log. Would you just...
There we go. Okay. There we go.
That's amazing. Oh, we could have showed that cute bag.
That's too cute.
Okay, so on that, you were saying about like, even though you're a student,
Yeah.
I'm trying to like
No, it's
track
okay.
my thought. You were saying he works, you're a student, you were gonna.
Oh, it's not like because he is the working parent,
Yeah.
like, and I'm not making money right now, that like he gets to relax more or whatever. It's like we're very equal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think basically like you went back, you raised a family, now you're going back to school. How does that like identity shift? How has that been for you?
It's been interesting. I feel like there's times when the assignments pile up and I feel like bad at night sometimes because I will be working on something and then he'll just play with the kids.
Yeah.
But it's also been really freeing and it's like been a better balance. And I feel like he's been grateful too because he feels like he's actually involved more than he used to be.
Yeah, and almost kind of gets to return the favor.
Yes.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Which is
yeah.
cool.
awesome.
And a lot of
Yeah.
people don't get to do that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What would be one thing that, looking back at yourself, maybe, how old were you when you got married?
I was 21. We waited till
21.
I was
Okay.
21. I was like, and we waited till we got married. Like we waited to move in together. Like we very much did that. But yeah, I was like, I have to be able to have a glass of wine at my
At my wedding.
I can't be 20.
Yeah.
So anyways,
love
yeah,
that.
I was 21.
Okay,
That's
so like,
cute.
what would you tell yourself at that, like your younger self, maybe 21, maybe even like through like your mid-20s, advice that you would give yourself now looking back?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I feel like to not worry and like things will work themselves out and things will evolve and you can always evolve down the road. That would maybe be it. Because at the time, I knew Mike was going to med school, but like I didn't really know what our future held. And
Yeah.
we didn't even know if we were going to get back to Minnesota because in medicine, you don't always match. And
Yeah.
he did luckily choose psychiatry, which is a little bit easier to like
Okay.
match in and stuff like that. But if he hadn't, I mean, you don't always get to pick where you live. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you kind of just had to like jump in and be like, we're going to just trust this process.
Yes, yeah.
And it worked out. What's one thing that looking back, you're like, that seemed like a huge problem at the time, but then ended up being like
That's
the
good.
best thing for you guys?
Oh. Creighton. So he matched there for medical school.
Okay.
And we very much had wanted to be back at the U of M, and we were shocked that he didn't match. And we were like, what? And but I would say those 4 years, and it led me like to having Mila early. I feel like if I maybe been back in Minnesota, I don't know if I would have.
Yeah.
But it just like made us grow even more in our independence and as a couple away from
Yeah.
everyone and family and friends. And it was a very kind of isolating season, but
Yeah.
it made us really strong.
That's awesome.
Because you weren't around family, when you had your 1st. What advice to maybe even like women here would you give if they are here without family or that support? You know, some people have family physically close, but they're not connected and like they don't have that support system. What advice would you give to them going through that?
I would say just make sure you do take care of yourself and get breaks. But that it is really special that you get to have that like one-on-one closeness with your kid, and that is a lucky situation too.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so now I feel like I was just grilling you on like kind of deep questions, but a little bit more lighthearted. So you like to go to concerts, go out to eat. What's your ideal night out if you had like a whole night to yourself or with your husband?
Like you said, it would be dinner out and live music, whether it's karaoke or a concert or just a band. And then I love to dance.
What's your karaoke song? What's your go-to?
Oh man, I have a few, but one of them is TLC's I Don't Want No Scrubs.
Oh, I love that.
I like
That's
it.
so fun.
I don't know why, but in 5th grade, we sang it at like the bus patrol ceremony back when there was bus cops on the buses in 5th grade.
Okay.
And we sang it at that, which I'm like, how do they let us 5th graders sing that song?
Yeah.
And ever since then, it's like my karaoke song.
That is amazing. I love that.
I love that.
Yeah.
Is there anything that, this is kind of, and if this is too personal, but is there anything that you feel like you got away with as a kid a little bit more because your parents were deaf?
Oh, I had all the parties. Like
parties
in middle school,
Yeah.
but I would have
You were
all the
a host?
sleepovers. Yes. All the sleepovers at my house. There'd always be like 4 to 14 girls at my house, like every weekend, because we could be loud in the middle of the night and stay up all night without parents getting upset. I would have friends sneak over, and I even used the deaf like TTY phone thing, and I would call the school pretending to be my mom, and I'd be like, Hillary's sick today, and I would stay home.
Oh my gosh.
And my neighbor Sue like caught on eventually and calling my mom, being like, your daughter's home again. She's just not going to school.
That's so
my
funny.
goodness, that's so funny. And did you ever share this with them?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And
now they're like, oh,
and we would use that to prank call like other kids all throughout
is
middle
hilarious.
school, high school, because they have to say. I mean, this will be me if I'm interpreting these calls, but like you have to say whatever they're saying.
Oh my goodness. So it's like, that's like a service. So it's like you like type it and then they.
It used to be little typewriters. Now it's screens with real sign language interpreters.
Okay.
Oh,
so you could probably get away with a little less.
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I mean, kids are going to get away with a lot less. Just
But
like
no,
we
I
didn't
had
have like Find My or anything like that on our phones. When we were kids, so.
Yeah. No, all my friends. Yeah, it was funny.
These are unique stories. I feel like I've never heard anybody say
My
that.
friends joked that I was at my prime in middle school because I like had all the parties. They're like, you descended after middle school. I'm like, thank you.
That's awesome.
Like that. Are you? Do you have siblings?
Yeah, I have a younger brother.
Okay.
He's just
And
2 years younger than me.
Was he? Cool. Did he also get in?
He wasn't as social as me, but
Okay.
yeah, he would have some
That's
friends and trouble. Yeah.
That is
What's your favorite local restaurant around this area?
Ooh, I love Oliver's, but they have a sister restaurant in Blaine, and Mike and I are there 3 nights a week because of soccer, dance, and basketball. And it's called Bricks, and it's so good.
Okay.
And it's just a different restaurant. And when we hosted a Friendsgiving, we hired the bartender to make their signature cocktails, and they're really good. So I recommend Bricks in Blaine.
Bricks. Okay.
Have not been.
I haven't either. No, I feel like I don't even. It's so close to us.
Yeah.
You kind of like this like Northeast Metro. It's funny how it all runs in together.
Yeah.
What's one thing that you, over the course of motherhood and then taking a little bit more time for yourself and going back to school, what's something that you've stopped just like apologizing for and just do unapologetically?
Running. I'm like, there, and that's just, I mean, I don't do it every day, but I'm like, working out is my thing, and like, I need to do it. And my kids understand whether I'm in the basement and I lock the door in our storage room, or if I'm off to Orange Theory, they know not to call and like, just give me that hour, and then I can be back.
And you can be a better version of yourself.
Yeah.
I'm running the Napa Marathon on Sunday.
Amazing.
Are you marathon?
I have not done a full.
Okay.
I've done a half, but not a full.
What's your advice for, I've only done halves too, so like I have no idea, but what's your advice to moms or anyone wanting to like get back into running and like working out in a routine? Like, where do they start? Any like
I mean, you probably know better than me, but I would say be unapologetic and like make your schedule and say this is important to me and like I'll be back and don't worry about missing time with the kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're gonna
know more than me. I'm like, I can't like eat and like get to that like intensity of like training. I'm like, that's a long way to run. But
I've never done it, so we'll see if we can do it. But
awesome.
I'm like 20 has been my longest, and I'm like I don't eat during the halves or do like any of the gels or but people have said like this is a different ball game. A marathon you have to do something because it's 4 hours.
Yes,
more probably for me. So I'm a little anxious about that part because I'm like I'm like barely even stop for water because I'm like, oh, I'll get a side ache. I don't want to like disrupt the flow. So we'll see how this goes. But
you'll do great.
Yeah, thank you.
That's exciting. My father-in-law, he started marathons at 50. So like it's never too late. Yeah, and then he ran 11 of them. And I'm
my
like,
goodness.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Was he an athlete
No,
prior
like
to this?
well, no, he was a radiologist, worked crazy hours, and he finally was like taking less time at work, and he decided to get healthy and started running.
That's got that like drive though. If you're like in that,
for sure.
Yeah, no, he learned how to play guitar without a teacher. Like he taught himself, so he's got a drive.
Yeah,
but I'm like, it's never too late, I guess.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, good for him. 11. I think I'm done. I'm one and done. I've decided. I'm like already. I'm gonna say it. I don't know.
That's amazing.
I don't know if you get a runner's high past like the.
No.
I don't know if it gets better after 13 and a half miles because after 13 and a half or 13.1, I'm like this was good. I'm like so we'll see. I'll report back.
That's exciting.
I don't think I've ever ran 10 miles. Maybe 4 or 5.
I don't know if you really need.
But it's
a couple miles will get that
cool.
adrenaline going and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Do you cold plunge?
No.
We were like rapid fire questions.
I'll go in a hot tub. I laugh
Okay.
because Kristen and my friends, like, we went up to Wisconsin and they're all jazzed about this cold plunge. I'm like, no, I just sat out. I'm like, I have a hot tub in my backyard. I'll do that.
Nice.
Are you a cold plunge?
I will do. I'm like, if we're not, we have the one at our house. I don't like that because I'm like, it seems inconvenient. But like if it's at a gym that we're going to, I'll do it. But I'm not like actively seeking them out.
People
really love them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they say, but I did hear a fact that women don't need it as much. Like women actually do better if you do longer in the sauna. And I can't do a sauna. I can't hit a sauna.
Oh, I love saunas too. Yeah, I think it's the switch change of the temperature. It's like going from, growing up in Ukraine and like saunas are everywhere.
Yeah.
You jump in the snow and then you go back into the heat.
So I think that's like their version of
yeah.
the cold, or like people jump in like Lake Superior up north. So
my husband did one on Lake Minnetonka where they actually went in the water in the freezing cold.
Was it like the polar plunge?
Yes.
I've heard of that.
And then they had little huts that had saunas, but I was like, oh, it looks cold.
I feel like somebody needs to supervise, like a medical professional needs to supervise that and catch people.
Probably a lot of medical professionals doing it, but who's supervising?
Yeah.
What is your favorite meal to make? You also said you like
Nope. I like meal planning. I would choose meals over takeout. I like fish. And so I feel like it's so easy and simple, and all you have to do is add seasoning, and it's healthy. And I make all different kinds of fish. And I
your
make
kids eat it?
my kids eat
Okay.
it.
I love
Sometimes
that.
they don't eat a lot, but they will. They've gotten more into shrimp and tilapia and salmon, of course. Those are better than ahi for them. But
good for you.
awesome.
I'm
Cool.
like, I don't think I have. Well, we have a 3-year-old, and she won't eat anything besides like.
I'm
two
married.
items.
I'm married to not a 3-year-old, and he wouldn't eat
I
any
was
of
gonna
that.
say,
So it's like all of those sound great, though.
I feel like living in Seattle was what made me
Oh,
interested.
yeah.
And good fish is really good.
Yeah,
Fish
before I
market.
moved out to Seattle, I feel like I didn't grow up eating a lot of fish, but now I love it.
Nice. What's my last one? I thought I just had one. We did talk about the vacation spot, but any what's your kind of just favorite spot, favorite thing about living in the Shoreview, North Oaks area?
Ooh. I feel like, that's staying pride. No, I would say it just is so homey to me, but I don't know if that's a good answer.
Oh,
Or
no.
what would you tell somebody if they were considering moving to some part of the Twin Cities? What would you say why people should?
Oh, I feel like
in
this
Shoreview.
area is no frills, which I really like, and I feel like the people here are just humble and collaborative and kind, and I just like our community a lot.
Yeah, I do feel like there's a lot of, and I'm not from this part of the city, so like moving here, it felt like people were also like open to making new friends.
Yeah.
And I grew up in a small town, and I know that it's hard in Minnesota in general to make friends, but I think like through daycares and other places and like the North Oaks Club and just like different areas of like getting involved, it feels like people are pretty open
People are
to
friendly.
it, and it doesn't feel like people are intimidating, or you don't get like a snooty vibe over here. I feel like everybody is very like welcoming and family oriented.
Agreed.
So,
Agreed.
been a good spot. We liked it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Well, thank you guys. Thanks for
you.
joining us, and we will be back on the next episode of The Best for Your Nest.